Hi everyone, and we're back with another episode of the Top Drive Show. I can't believe it's already been 2 weeks since the first one. I promise that we haven't just changed our clothes and filmed this in the same day.
I haven't even changed my clothes.
Actually, we promise. Like, this mug is a different Hutch mug to the one I was drinking from last time.
Yeah, and there's different things on the table.
Yeah.
See?
That's how you know.
We should have brought a newspaper.
So we had episode 1 and it was fantastic. We got tons of support from everybody in the comments. Thank you so much. We're going to go through some of the most popular comments first of all, and our favorite ones as well. We're going to be giving you a free pack in Top Drives. So if we read out your name and I say that you've got a pack, just message us on YouTube. We'll get you sorted out. So back again from last week, we've got John and Tim. They're going to be answering questions today. It's worth noting, folks, of course, if you want to keep this rolling, then please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join our notification squad so that you find out about this. You can get your questions answered as soon as the video is out. We don't want you to miss a thing. So, first question.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Foxable Games. You have earned yourself a free pack. Message us at some point and we will get that sorted out for you. The question from Foxable Games: after completing a campaign, there's not much to do. You have limited attempts in the events and challenges unless you pay for more tickets, so you always end up having nothing to do. Could you extend the campaign or add more difficulties? The current one being easy or normal mode. You could also add a whole new game mode, for example, so that's sort of like a side question. But yes, extending the campaign. We got tons of questions, including another one from, Johan Dennison. So we want to know, extending the campaign.
And what's interesting is, after we launched, we got this question a lot, like it was one of the most requested things. And that's why in December we added challenge mode. I mean, that was partly our answer to it.
Yeah,
right?
that was always. It's very much, it's okay. It's got a difficulty curve. There's a competitive element to it, but it's not. You're not up against other people. You don't have the same level of competitiveness as kind of the event mode. And we hope, obviously, it looks like it's kind of offering a different experience to the normal campaign, and there does still seem to be, demand or appetite for something more like the original campaign. Yeah,
exactly, because the thing that held us back originally was we knew if we just added something on the end, people would basically beat it in 2 days and then they'd want more, because people get through the campaign really fast. And so we thought, we have challenge mode, we'll have a different thing every week. But it's true that you do miss out on that thing that you're always working towards, and then one day you achieve it because it's only there for a week. Yeah. So I think the hardest thing is that the game naturally progresses you to better cars, and then you reach a point where quite naturally it's harder to get ever better cars, but you start to explore the diversity of your garage. And that ultimately becomes what Top Drives is really about, is having a wide range of cars for every situation. And a standard campaign that just carries on like that way, upping the ante all the time, I think probably would just be quite frustrating.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult to do it in a way that it didn't either become sort of too hard too quickly, or it was just so easy for our more advanced players that exactly. There was just nothing there. But I think it does feel like we've got some ideas in that space of a solution for that.
That's true. I mean, there are things that we have thought of.
Kind of very, very sort of formative stages, but definitely acknowledging that there's appetite for more campaign.
Yeah, it was really interesting in response to this to see how much that question came back, because it largely, we didn't hear people asking that as much. We thought, all right, challenge mode has largely done it, but actually when we said, right, ask us your questions, that was by a long way the most popular.
And it is, I mean, for us it's fascinating because we don't know. I mean, when the game goes out, we've got an idea of what's going to be popular, how people are going to play it, but we don't really know. So seeing the response to this question definitely, I think it gives it even more, a stronger case of something to that does need to be looked at.
That's right. Yeah, it's really useful.
So before we move on to our next Hutch pick for the questions, we want to know something from you. We're really excited by the idea of the new format. You guys were fantastic, really positive. But we want to know, how long do you think the Top Drive show, like one episode, should be? like we ended up rattling on for about 45 minutes last time, and that was great for us, but we want to know just, like, what kind of length is right for you, what would keep you interested. So there's a poll in the description. Go and fill that out so that we can tailor this to be just right. Okay, then the next Hutch pick. So well done to Egor Seal. You've also got yourself a pack. Thanks for keeping us informed, Igor says. The question is, what do you think about topdrives.club? And can you help me to work on it with some information or maybe some API support?
Right.
Topdrives.club, super cool.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know what it is, it's a website that basically kind of pulls together all the car data, the images, the stats that are in the game, and just presents it in an incredibly sort of friendly format. It lets you do a variety of other things in terms of kind of sort of specifying your, kind of almost sort of tagging up your garage, but on kind of on a website. For me personally, it's just a great tool. I sort of I don't know whether it sounds strange to people that, given the fact that we build the game and we've got all the information, we've got access to everything we want, but a lot of the time it's about how it's presented and just being in a nice, easy to use format. And so when I'm, when any of us are sort of building up, say, next week's challenge or anything, there's a lot of balancing, there's a lot of kind of crafting each opponent's hand to try and get a sort of difficulty curve that's fun and kind of entertaining. And actually, topdrives.club is just a great way to be able to filter through all the cars in the game, to see them very quickly and easily ranked against each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's become a fairly essential tool to my job, which is
actually making the game it's useful. And as a player as well, I love it, especially for the low end cars. I want to know, like, which uncommons should I be looking out for, or which commons or rares. And on Top Drives Club, you can just go, right, show me all the rares, sort them by 0 to 60, and I go, right, here's the fastest ones. Oh, this one doesn't have traction control. Oh, watch out for that. And then you can quickly figure out what you want to keep. Or an 80s event comes up and you're like, what are there 80s cars with 4-wheel drive? Which ones are they? And just quickly see it there really easily.
Because that's the thing. There's so many cars that there's no. I mean, I'm really into cars, but there's no way you can hold all that information in your head.
Exactly, and all the RQs and everything.
Yeah. So I don't suppose, I'm not sure we can confirm anything right now in response to the question, but I know we are. It's definitely brought it up as a discussion point in terms of that we love it as as something that somebody's gone out there and built, and we are looking at ways that we can maybe assist in the future.
Make that a bit easier.
Yeah. Wonderful. So message us, or claim yourself a pack.
And everybody else, go to topdrives.club. Yeah. It's amazing.
It is pretty cool. Okay, so we've had the two sort of big Hutch pick questions, but there have been tons of other questions, so we're going to go through a few of those as well. The question I've got in front of me now is from Luke Pillsbury, who firstly says, a lot of supportive comments. Thank you so much, guys. I love that Hutch is communicating with us really effectively, which is great. I'm going to focus on the first question here from Luke. Why do extra garage slots cost a lot of gold? They limit how varied your garage can be, and it can be annoying when you're forced to sacrifice cars for better ones, even though you preferably want to keep as many cars as possible.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? What's our rationale behind having these expensive garage slots?
I'll pass this one over to you.
I mean, it's definitely a question of balance, and in general, like, if in the game you want to have really good cars, you want to have more than you have, and you want to have more slots than you have, and you wish you had more cash, like, that means the game is working, right? Like, if you go, I've got enough of everything, I'm happy, then you stop playing, it's not an interesting game. So I'm sorry to say, the fact that you want it is a feature, it's what makes it work. The balance question is the one as well, like, how much gold should it cost? Is it fair? I think players undervalue slots. I guess just as a general point, you kind of bring up the fact that the balance of the game is always being looked at. We want, as you say, there's kind of things in the game have an inherent value, and we try and get that balance right. But we want them to be used. We want a few extra slots to be something that some people decide to, That's right. It's a strategy question. You can choose to invest in slots or offers and pick the balance.
Swiss balance.
And right now, I think people would generally do better if they more often pick the slots. I mean, I get about 20 slots a month personally. That's my average. And I just fill that up all the time, but that feels pretty good. So I'm up to about 350 total. But it's worth it.
I know something that we haven't done a lot of, but is obviously slots as prizes. You know, it's another thing that we've done a little bit of in the past, and it's something that we can, you know, will be looked at again.
Can happen, yeah.
The next question this time comes from Carbon Gamer, and I can sort of paraphrase it. Essentially, more cars. Do we plan on bringing any cars? They've listed some manufacturers like Koenigsegg, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Volkswagen. Like, more cars?
Well,
so definitely. I mean, that was in a way it was one of the whole sort of big incentives about doing Top Drives in the first place, was just the incredible source material. And although we've got a lot of cars, we've got a lot of manufacturers, we definitely haven't covered them all yet. As mentioned, there's a few big brands that would be very nice to have in the game. I'd probably have the legal department coming in and shutting us down if I started confirming anything. But I think it's safe to say that there's discussions ongoing with some of the biggest brands in the world who aren't currently in the game. So big plans around that. And we definitely see some big milestones. We're really excited about hitting 1,000 cars in the next few months. Personally, I know there's a Guinness World Record standing at, I think, 1,237 cars for Gran Turismo in terms of what video game has the most cars in it. And I think that would be a nice record to get as well. So absolutely safe to say that there are a lot more cars coming, and we're hoping to kind of introduce cars in a big way in the future as well, in terms of kind of putting kind of some of the big manufacturers trying to kind of look at how we bring those into the game.
Cool. Now we've got a really cool question from Jonathan Skip, who asks, was this the game where the physics engine was custom built for Hutch? I'd love to hear about how it was made, if the person who wrote it wants to speak about it.
Yeah, so I think I'm big disclaimer, I'm not technical, but was on the design side of the kind of early days of Top Drives, and yes, this was the kind of underlying simulation, the physics was built completely from scratch and just for this game. And actually, from a development point of view, it was just a really fun process, because we had a good idea of what we wanted to achieve. We wanted this idea of these kind of cars being able to battle against each other and the stats having a meaningful impact. We needed stuff like, everyone knows, stuff like 0 to 60 times and top speeds are official stats. So, the game had to map that. At some point we're looking at different variations, and it just didn't make any sense if the real world stats weren't reflected in the game.
Yeah, because there is a big difference between the stats that are shown off on paper and like the press release, because they always show like the raw engine horsepower, whereas we really care about horsepower at the wheels.
Yeah.
Instead, those are two completely different numbers.
So there's a lot of kind of looking at what stats we wanted to feed in and what we wanted reflected in the game. So I think maybe for a future episode, I think there could be something quite interesting about looking at maybe some of the more technical side. More. But I just thought it was actually kind of good time to show a kind of brief sort of development video that we had. So this was probably probably 4 or 5 months into the project. And what we did was that we built a number of environments. Obviously, we've got our drag strips and our different tracks. We actually, the game is done in conjunction with the guys at Evo Magazine and their road test team. And they have a racetrack here in the UK that they use for all their testing and their, just getting a feel for the cars kind of, on and above the limit.
Yeah.
And so we actually modelled that track as accurately as we can. It's not in the game. It was something that we did for development purposes. And then we took some Evo telemetry data of 2 cars that they'd recently run round there, a 911 Carrera S and Nissan GTR.
Yeah.
And then we basically overlaid our game telemetry with their real-world telemetry. And if you
set this
are
up.
kind of running the video, I can
Let's do it.
All right, check
show
it
you a
out.
little bit about what happened. I mean, you see a few things here. One is that actually for most of the game's life, we didn't have little cars. We had dots. But you can see here that the traces are kind of they're following reasonably closely. So this was the first pass that we did at this. You can see actually one area kind of halfway through where the curve deviates quite a lot from the Evo data. Was actually that subsequently we went to this track and drove around it ourselves.
Yeah.
And that corner in our game, it was considered a corner. In the real world, the Evo guys just take it flat out, and it's just one of those little quirks where our game was kind of just differing slightly from the real world. So yeah, I mean this sort of thing was used throughout development, where we just like little tweaks to kind of how we interpreted cornering scores. Things like how the cars reacted to corners, how they braked, things like that, and basically got it as close as we possibly could to real world situations. And in this case, by the end of it, I think the Nissan and Porsche were about 0.7 seconds difference in the real world, and we're in the vicinity of sort of, I think it ended up being about sort of 0.6 different in the game. So it's a lot of time, a lot of effort trying to get this as close as we possibly could. And the physics engine is an interesting thing. For every change you make in one place, it then has knock-on effects elsewhere.
Absolutely.
And the race is simulated, so it's always the same every time. There's no driver thing, so any slight change it's going to be there 100%.
Yeah.
Well, and I know some players will be thinking, what about that thing that doesn't really work, and what about this that was wrong? I mean, I think first, to make this accurate physics simulation is quite hard. To make an AI that drives the car to the absolute perfect way that it could possibly perform is even harder, and that's something we've improved. And thirdly, to have a system of tips that identifies that the car that won, what was the defining feature about it that made it better than the other one, that's actually even harder than doing all the other stuff. Two cars can be totally different, like what is it that made one win? Well, it's sort of all of the things, so what do you pick out? So the race info is pretty useful when you're a beginner, especially to give you a clue. It's like, oh, right, traction control is important. Oh, in this race, 0 to 60 is more important, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when you get into really deep, close races, it starts to become less useful because it's really, really hard to make it incredibly accurate.
I mean, everything is just bigger than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Once you get
It
into
is,
the deepest reaches of the way that it simulates.
Yes, and all very, very interlinked and dependent on each other. But yes, as I say, maybe a topic for the future would be, getting the more technical guys in here and having a chat about some of the intricacies of it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So off the back of last episode, we talked about some of the most popular cars of some certain rarities, but we've got to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
So let's talk about popular cars.
Yeah. So we're looking at the cars in a rarity band that are the most frequently upgraded by players, which shows that these are the ones that players tend to value the most, excluding prize cars because they're kind of a different category, and excluding the cars you win from the boss in the campaign because at the time you win it, that's the best car you've got usually, and so they get over upgraded. So taking those out of the equation. So now looking to uncommons, probably not a surprise to most players, the most upgraded uncommon is the 1967 Chevrolet Impala. I mean,
firstly, it's a cool car.
Yeah.
I think everyone sort of. I'm probably more into sports cars, things like that, but actually I think still like kind of hugely appealing kind of muscle car. It's a full-size muscle car, so it's got some real presence to it. And actually it's obviously a kind of specialist in the sense that it is just incredibly good in the straight line, fast acceleration, high top speed. Going back a little bit to the, talk about when we built this game, we picked some extremes of cars,
right.
One of which was a top fuel dragster
Yeah.
That didn't make it in the game. It basically had just the most freakishly unbelievable acceleration, but I think a handling score of about 5 or something like that, and it was so much fun as a way of testing the limits of the physics engine, and I think it's something that I think these sort of cars are, the strategy of top drives is fun, and so having this car where there's a real contrast between its handling and its outright straight line top speed. I think it creates good in-game moments.
Yeah, exactly. And so the fact that its handling is so terrible brings down the RQ and puts it in the E band, but it's so good on the drag that if you know you're going up against a drag race and an RQ10 car would fit in, it's a brilliant choice for it. Kind of similar for the second most popular, more recent addition to the game, relatively, is the 1951 Jaguar C-Type.
Yeah, I mean, see, I don't know. I keep falling on the side where I think people are probably upgrading this just because it is beautiful. I'm not sure how. I don't know how many people are thinking that way, but it's yeah. I mean, it's a stunning car. Again, just worth. I think I was just reading recently in a magazine. I think the won Le Mans twice. That car. I think a Le Mans winner version of it now is about $13 million went for recently. So it's although again, its RQ is not that high. It's a incredibly desirable car.
Yeah, and having a good rear wheel drive with performance tyres and low ground clearance is good to find in the uncommons. The low ground clearance means it's bad in situations where you need high ground clearance, so that brings the RQ down. But if you're in a situation where that doesn't matter, all right, now you've got all the advantages the car has.
So just avoid the speed bumps.
Yeah, exactly. Don't take it in the city. And thirdly, again, probably not a surprise, the Caterham 7160.
Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't even start with Caterhams because I'll be here for like 2 hours talking about them. Yeah. Basically, my Caterhams are my personal favourite of all. This is, I mean, in a similar way to the Jaguar as well. It's incredible low weight. So it's one of the things, again, we're sort of jumping back to the physics simulation, but in things like slalom and G-force, any very rapid tight turns in the game lightweight does come into play a small amount and just give you a little bit of an advantage. So both these cars and that's over and above their inherent handling scores. So again, this is it's a great car in the slaloms, G-forces, indoor karting, any of those sort of tracks. It's a good car to have. Fast 0 to 60. I think you just need to be careful where you use it. That top speed.
That's right. I've used
limited.
it on some short drag races. Yeah, it comes in pretty handy there in the E uncommon band. All right, and then just one other rarity band we're going to cover. We'll go to the Bs or ultra rares. Again, I think players probably would guess the top one being the Lotus 340R. I mean, it's a similar story to what we just covered, right?
Yes. Yeah. Again, you've got the lightweight. I mean, this was actually a Lotus Elise, kind of sort of stripped of its bodywork and kind of sort of remodeled like that. More power, just more focused as a sort of track car. Yeah. And it's and its stats reflect that. So I think just it's no real weaknesses. Yeah. In that.
And I mean, I remember when the game launched, a big deal was the Elise Sport 135.
Yes,
was then a super rare, and it was brilliant for your slaloms, and actually almost essential for beating Monaco 10.
Yes.
And then when we added some more cars, that got moved up to ultra rare. I think a lot of players sort of undervalue it now because of that. But if you don't have the 340R yet, then the Elise 135 is a real good, alternative. I still have mine. Still comes in handy from time to time. Now the next one down. This one surprised me, but maybe because I'm a fool, I've fused this car away. I probably should not have. The Chevrolet Corvette C5 from the 90s.
From the 90s, but I mean, Corvettes are just, all the, I mean, right through the ages, but particularly the recent ones have just, in terms of kind of like, they use the term a lot, kind of bang per buck. There's just nothing else really gets close. And I think where its strength really comes into play is that there's an awful lot of fast German cars that stick to this 155 mile an hour sort of gentleman's agreement limit.
Oh yeah.
And Chevrolet do no such thing, and so you've got that great top speed, very fast acceleration, good handling, So it's that's a useful car, particularly for those longer, say the fast circuit or the long drag races, or the bull or the high speed bull.
All going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And it often gets contrasted, I think, with the Chevrolet Camaro convertible, which is also RQ21. Is it faster 0 to 60, but the mid range is terrible, and people just hate it because of that. But it's medium ride height, right? So you can take it in the city. But basically, if it's anything other than that, though, you're going to be disappointed. And I kept that one. Probably should have kept the C5.
Yeah, I think that kind of slightly higher top speed kind of sort of demonstrates that it's kind of an indication of that, greater kind of mid-range punch. So a good car to have.
Yeah, and finally, it's the Nissan Patrol Nismo, which, I mean, this was in the first version an Epic, and then in a rebalance it came down. So when it was an Epic, I think it was viewed pretty poorly. It was quite expensive to upgrade, and then it came down. And I'm still not sure if I did the right or wrong thing here. I mean, when we announced it was going to go down, I was like, all right, and I used it to fuse into a Legendary while it was still an A. But that meant then I didn't have it when it was a B, and it's cheaper to upgrade, and now I get beaten by it all the time.
I think those stats are just quite rare for something that's an SUV on all surface tires with 4-wheel drive. It's no sort of there's other fast SUVs, but I think sometimes they've got they're either top speed limited or really not as good at handling. And so I think having that it's like a complete set really. And it's just a cool car. It's it's just that thing that Nismo badge is usually reserved for the kind of overtly sporty stuff, the 370Z, the kind of GTR, and so to stick, and it's a proper, serious. It's not just a badge exercise. It's a very serious piece of kit. So
makes sense.
Good
Next time it comes up, I'm definitely keeping it. Yeah, there you go. That's it for this week.
Alright, before we move on, we're just going to nip something quickly in the bud. It's not made it onto the comment section just yet, but on the forums there's a lot of discussion at the moment happening about the, the Dakar Challenge, the Porsche
959 Dakar Finals.
959 Dakar. Why do we have a Porsche prize car with a 5 times Mazda requirement, Tim?
So, I mean, superficially that looks counterintuitive. But we've done something like this a few times before. We're going to do it again, and it is a very, considered part of the balance of the game. So, for one thing, it is really important to us that when we do new cars and new big events, they're somewhat accessible to newer players. Newer players are on somewhat equal footing with older players, and older players know the game better. They've got more cars ready to fuse. They know what they're doing, but we want to give them something of a shot at it, because it will be really, the game will not survive if we don't continue to get new players in and get them engaged. And if you come up against something and you can never be competitive until you've played for 12 months and waited out a bunch of old players who've gone away or something, you're just going to give up before you get there. So we want to, even that out a little bit. But the other thing is that we've already seen this a lot with Porsche, that when you give out a prize car of a brand, every time you then have an event with that brand, the people with that prize car are going to bring it in, and they'll have a big advantage, and that will forever change the nature of what sort of events we can run and how we balance them and which tracks are in there, because we know those cars are out there. So if we can have a manufacturer event without the prize cars in it, and do that a bit, and we get the benefit of how that feels and how that works before we then go, all right, and now there's a bunch of people with the prize car, so we have to treat that differently. There's a few things that help you in the game, right? The different things you can bring to bear. You can bring to bear how much time you spend, in a day in a particular event. How long you've been playing for is another thing that has an effect. There's how good are your tactics, like which car do you bring in and which car do you put against which one. There's how good is your strategy, like which cars have you held on to, how much have you invested in your garage size versus packs, and how have you upgraded your cars. And then obviously there's the ability to actually spend money. And all of those things can substitute for each other somewhat. You can make up for not having as much time by spending more money, or if you've been playing for longer, you need to spend less time than somebody else because you've already got cars that they're ready to fuse in or something. It's really useful and a good balance if all those things can substitute for each other. But if the event is being determined by a prize car that you won because you played 6 months ago, there's nothing anybody can do right now who doesn't have it to substitute for that. It's a hard block. So that makes the balancing kind of awkward, and you get what we call snowballing, right? Where people who got an advantage in the past have an insurmountable advantage in the present. And so that's why it's really useful to have things like this, where a strength in one garage allows you to win a prize car for a different one, and so that gets moved around.
Yeah.
It's just
And the prize cars are by their very nature they're exclusive.
Yeah.
They're some of the generally they're some of the better cars of any given manufacturer, so they're quite powerful things. And so we do definitely need to be careful, as you say, to avoid that snowballing effect that the people that have won in the past have suddenly got this sort of inherent advantage.
That's right. Oh, I mean, another thing is that they come up once and then they don't come up again. That's actually something we are going to address. Some of the old great prize cars will eventually be coming back. I mean, no promises on when. I don't know exactly what the plan is for that. I'm not even part of it, but I know that is something that we do have in mind. So it's not like, you miss the Suzuki Pikes Peak, you're never going to get it. It is going to come back.
There might even be some new Pikes Peak cars appearing at some point in the future.
Yeah, that's right.
Joining us now and proving that more than 3 of the Hutch team are capable of forming a coherent sentence is Manu. Hi, Manu.
Hey, everybody.
So Manu is another one of the studio's serious Top Drives players. And I think you're going to show us a little bit about sort of your career so far as a Top Drives player and your proudest moments.
Yes. So I've been playing Top Drives since the beginning, since we launched. So for almost a year, Top Drives is like part of my life. Like every day, I play it because obviously you get the benefits from it. Top Drives, I've been having different experiences, and especially one of my favorite ones was one of the tri-series that we ran not long ago, which was the Porsche event. And during the Porsche event, I had to grind a lot. I could see that I could fight to end up on the top 8 and get the Porsche 918. And since I was so close to getting the Porsche Spyder 918, I started just fusing my epics on my legendaries. I started fusing every single card that I could from my ultra rares on my epics.
I think that's the thing, when it starts to become, you can sort of see the prize potentially. You start to get close to it. You just start.
I think one of the advantages in Top Drives when you get in earlier is that if you can see that you're getting close to a top prize, I straight away can see the benefits of losing some cars that I have currently in my garage. Yes. But it's an investment to get an incredible car. And as you guys can see now over here, I managed to finish in the top 8, and this was the prize that I got. So I got, besides the Porsche Spyder 918, I've also won a carbon fiber, and as you guys are going to see, this is the kind of benefits that you have from when you have a top prize. So in addition to the big prize, so the Porsche Spyder 918, I was also lucky enough, as you guys are going to see at any moment, to have one of the cars that I really wanted. And ta-da, I got the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo X. So it's one of those cars that I have in my shortlist for quite some time. So for me, this prize that I got was just blew my mind, really. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of the cars that I think we talked about in the last show. Was that, for people who win it, it's a massively popular car to keep and upgrade because it's just it's great all rounder.
Definitely,
and then with it, I mean the 918. The 918, I think that might be my favorite photo in the whole game. It's just, I mean, that's a stunning car.
It's a car that can go head to head with Bugatti Chiron, so that says it all.
Yeah. And one of the holy trinity when it came out, of kind of McLaren P1, Ferrari LaFerrari, and Porsche 918. And it's like I'm not sure we're going to see another time when sort of those 3 hypercars come out at the same time, and just it's established itself in the history of cool cars.
Nice. So while we're at it, Manu has got top drives in front of him, and I believe you're gonna do some pack openings, maybe.
Yeah, so we currently are running a tri-series in the build-up to the big event that is in one of the newest manufacturers in top drives, which is Mazda. So as part of this tri-series, I'm gonna now just run in an event. So just be part of an event that will let us see if I can manage to be in one of the top positions. So because the higher you are, you're gonna get a prize, which is in this case a Mazda carbon fiber. Because Mazda has only lived live for a week. Not many people have a lot of Mazdas, and because this is the first time that you can get a specific pack for that specific manufacturer, it's quite a good time to build up your garage, in this case of Mazdas. So first of all, this is my garage, as you can see over here.
It's very impressive.
I
think it probably is the best garage in the dev team here, isn't it?
I'm not sure about that, because mine is, I have, like you can see over here, straight away you can see 3 Porsches that are prize Porsches. So you can see that my garage, it's perfect for Porsche events straight away, and German events. So I do quite well on those events, but then you have obviously French events, UK events, American events. I struggle. I need to say that I struggle. UK events I still do okay, but all the other ones it's way harder. Japanese, my garage is so and so. But so what I'm gonna do now, it's first of all show you guys the hand that I have saved for this Mazda event. A disclaimer, first of all, that I've got no clue what the tracks are. I've got no clue whatsoever. Here at Hutch, it's when we play the events, especially for us to understand the game the best that we can, we try to avoid spoilers, because we try to experience the game the best way that we can, in this case trying to understand how people experience our game. So that's why I really try to avoid spoilers. At the same time, it's always I like the learning curve of top drives, so that's why I usually play like that. So as you guys could see, and this is a very handy function in top drives, as you can see over here on the top right hand, there's an option where you can save a hand, load a hand, or have a random hand. As you can see, I have my saved hands. In this case I have a Japanese one. So for the top drives, for the Mazda event that we're currently running, these are the requirements. So Mazdas, 2 Mazdas and 5 Japanese. So the 2 Mazdas that I currently have, I have the RX-8. I don't have it fully upgraded yet, because Mazda, since it's a new manufacturer, I didn't have enough time to understand what's the best way of upgrading this car specifically.
Actually, the interesting thing is this actually did come up, I think, in some of the questions, but was just somebody just questioning its rarity and its the tier it went in. Actually, it is at the very, very top of it. It's correct where it should be, but it's at the very, very top of its rarity, and so it's it's a good car. It's great handling.
So as you can see over here, because like John just mentioned, the handling it's incredible. I've fully maxed the handling, and then the other 2 parameters. When I go to the multiplayer events, I'm going to learn and see what other people are doing, and this way I will try to get the best from this car. So in terms of the Mazda cars, I got this RX-8, and as you guys can see over here, these are all the Mazdas that I managed to earn over these latest days through the prelim, to the Mazda prelims, and through opening packs. And as you can see over here, I got 3 super rares and 4 rares. So my hand is not the strongest
No,
one
it's not bad either.
going into the event. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna try to ride my luck and see what luck it's gonna bring to me. So I'm trying to aim to improve my hand. So I'm gonna buy some Mazda packs.
And it is worth mentioning that this is a completely genuine, normal live build, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
just
yes.
because obviously
Yeah, yeah.
on the team, you know, people have different builds. Some have dev builds, things like that. But you know, it's great that you've just got it in its.
So hopefully I'll have a legendary stream.
Yeah.
So let us see. I'm opening the first pack, and let us just flick quickly through the lower RQ cars. And RX-7
alright.
Turbo. That
Yeah.
I'm using it in the event in case I don't have any
Okay.
ultra rare or epics.
Yeah, good top speed, good
And
acceleration.
what do we have? Oh,
Another
another
one.
RX-8. This is going to be, by the way, because this car is so strong. It's definitely going to be helpful on the finals.
Yeah. No,
Not
that's
necessarily for now because I won't have enough time to upgrade it. So yeah, for the future, it's definitely a good pull.
That's a good find.
So let us try another pack.
That's-
Whoa.
I'm excited now. Maybe a few
Scary.
rounds.
Okay, let us flick through the lower RQ ones.
I want to see a 787B up here.
Oh,
Oh,
an
that would be
MX-5. I like that. I like a lot the picture, the background
Yeah.
of this car.
That's good. I know. I mean, strong handling again. It's you're gonna have to hope there's a lot of slaloms and indoor karting circuits in the event.
And now it's going to be legendary for sure.
Oh!
So this one is my third RX-8.
Yep.
So yeah, in other words, because actually my pulls weren't that bad. I think that I'm quite happy with RX-8 Spirit R. I'm definitely over the next days. I'm going to fully upgrade it because I think it's going to make my hand far stronger.
Yeah, like you say, that sets you up for the future events quite well.
Yeah. And so now I'm going to go to the prelims and let us see where my hand is going to take us for the next playthrough. So very quickly, my Mazda hand now looks like that.
Yep.
So I got 3.
I know you got 3
Three
RX-8s.
of the same cars.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So let us see. Let us jump in with the hand that I had saved before. So straight away, as we can see over there, we got city streets. So when we have city streets, the vast majority of them, they have bumps. So straight away, I know that I'm gonna need cars that are medium or high height. So at the same time, I can't choose an opponent this time around.
You got one wet race in there.
Yeah, I can only have one race, so I can't even choose my opponent.
So you can't, I mean, you know, we're talking about the RX-8 Spirit R with kind of that amazing handling. I mean, stuff like the car park is so kind of out and out, you know, handling based. That you, yeah.
So I'm gonna face Keith.
Keith.
Keith, I think I have a hand that is stronger than yours, so I'm sorry for this, for what I'm about to do.
Shout out to Keith.
So first of all, I know that on the Type R it's medium
Yep.
ground clearance, so that's why I'm using it on the City Street Small. As you can see, it has an incredible handling and quite a good 0 to 60. It's one of my favorite cars and one of the ones that I use the most in top drives. Next, in the car park, I'm using the Nissan Silvia because it has quite a high handling. Even though it's off-road, it's going to be helpful on this one because it's asphalt. So since it's not a wet environment, it will perform quite well.
Yeah, off-road tires do suffer badly in the wet.
So my next one is the car that I mentioned before. So the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo X, so the one that I got from the pack.
Yeah.
From the Porsche event. It's one of the top performing Japanese cars that we have in the game. And I think the Mazda RX it's low. I thought it was medium. Oh, straight away.
Yeah,
as you can see, I'm gonna need to go back.
So your RX-8 should be good for that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use it in slalom, and I'm gonna use the Evo X on city streets because it's
the speed bumps won't
medium.
slow you down too much.
And last of all, I'm gonna use the
Alright, let's see how you get on.
latest Mazda. Let's see how it goes. This, as we can see over here with the speed bumps, my car just went through very easily. I think that's Subaru one.
It's a big win. He's going to be low, so
yeah, it's going to be low.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I first saw his hand, that the ground clearance was low. So my next opponent, it's Car Park. As we can see over here, it's because my grip is quite high at 90 and my 0 to 60 it's lower than my opponent.
Very close.
Get in! So yeah, I have quite a good advantage so far, and once again, very sorry, Keith. And my RX-8 is performing quite well in slaloms.
Back at you, but yeah, you got that.
Yeah, it beats, and as you guys can see over here, as our audience can see, that a super rare just beat an epic. So plenty of times, because you pull a super rare, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad.
I think that's the whole thing Tim's talked about as well. Is this if you pick, it really is about picking the right car for the right challenge.
Absolutely.
And next one, we got the next city streets. This one.
Do you not feel bad about beating the little AZ1?
It's definitely one of the coolest pictures that we have in the game. So this one is city streets medium, so it takes a longer time to complete, but at the same time it's easier for you to build up a higher score because it's medium, while the previous one was small. So strategically speaking, it's good to leave your best car for this type of city streets because your score might get higher. And last of all,
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so this is a rainy environment. Both of our cars have performance tires, so no one has a distinct advantage. And I won every single one of them!
Yay.
Oh, 93rd!
All your hard work is starting to pay off already.
There's a bit of work to do there.
Yeah, absolutely. Alright folks, that's all we have time for this time round, but a big thanks to Manu, to John and Tim for coming along. You probably know the rules by now, but absolutely comment down underneath, and the most liked comments, our favourite comments as well, we're going to get those questions answered next time around. We're going to be telling you all about the amazing things coming up in Top Drives. You are all fantastic. It was really lovely to have your support this time. Looking forward to next one. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Hit the little bell so that you get a notification when we release our videos, and we will see you next time.
Hello and welcome to the 2017 Mini Run. That future, and here he comes now. Final round of the British Drift Championship. Madeira Drive in Brighton, and as you can see, minis.
Yeah, it's amazing just to see modern cars go around the motor circuit. You kind of have to think to see if you're seeing things right.
Necessarily legitimate, especially not inside a 560 catering to 360 car.
For you.
Well, let's put it this way.